time. And our panelists are over there, ready to roll. So please, let's talk about creating customer-centric value propositions with payments to drive targeted growth. Great conversation to have because, of course, evolving customer expectations and needs have provided the ultimate challenge to tailor offerings and create innovation solutions with an impact across the fintech landscape. Our panellists are going to talk about building differentiated customer value propositions in payments, leveraging data-driven insights, world-class technologies and powerful partnerships. Please welcome to the stage Jito Arulampalan. Come up onto the stage, mate. You kind of try and practice, and I know it's the rhythm. Great to have you here. He is the CEO and co-founder of Red Owl, pioneering the world's first AI-embedded smart corporate card. Give him a hand. Great to have you here. Thank you. Next, we have Ashima Chowdhury, the Vice President of Business Development at MasterCard. She has more than 2 decades of experience in financial services across payments innovation, lending, loyalty, and smarter digital banking. Another clap. Jeffrey Williams, the founder of Barcats, which was created and launched in Australia in 2017. It's now the largest hospitality community in Australia and New Zealand, acting like a hospitality-specific LinkedIn. Jeffrey, great to have you here. He'll be shouting the bar a little later on tonight. And finally, we have Oliver Kerr, the founder of Archer, corporate card and spend management platform serving thousands across Australia. Before Archer, Oliver began his career in M&A and capital markets law. So if you are looking to be acquired, have a chat to him later on. Over to you guys.
Thank you for the intro. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us on this panel to talk about building customer-centric propositions with payments to drive targeted growth. We've very nicely curated this panel to make sure we share insights with you across different stages of the startup journey, from pre-launch, launch, to post-launch and scaling. So we're really looking forward to sharing some insights with you on this. First up, we have Red Owl. So Red Owl is currently in pre-launch stage of the startup, and Red Owl is leveraging AI to revolutionize how corporate spend management works and building in embedded corporate card solutions. Red Owl recently got selected as one of the 8 fintechs globally to join the MasterCard Start Path for Fintech program. And we have Jito, the CEO and co-founder of Red Owl, joining us today. Jito's got 10 years experience working at Westpac, and since then, leaving corporate, Jito has been the founder for multiple startups that have gone through IPO at ASX and NASDAQ. Welcome, Jito. Next up, we have brought Barcats. So Barcats is not necessarily a new company. The Barcats, as an organization, has been around for 7 years, solving for problems in hospitality with labor hire. So that's a problem they've been solving for. However, now Barcats has implemented a payment-linked end-to-end digital solution set to revolutionize how hospitality venues can identify and pay their staff. And they're just at launch stage, so just launched, so congratulations. And we've got Jeff Williams joining from Barcats. Jeff Williams is the CEO and founder. Jeff started his career himself in hospitality as a crew member at McDonald's, so that's where, that's where it started. And since then, he spent 20 years in corporate before coming in and starting his own company. Welcome, Jeff. And then the last one we have here is Oliver, the CEO and founder for Archer. Archer has been solving problems for small and medium enterprises in Australia for 6 years. So they have been around their post-launch and their scaling. And we are quite excited to hear from Oliver, because Oliver would be able to share with us around how they keep customer front of mind at the start, but also evolving their propositions. Oliver's background has been in M&A and capital markets law and working in corporates after that, before he set out to set up his own company. Welcome, Oliver. Right. We'll get into it straight away. First question for all of the panelists would be, as you set out to start your startups and build the products, how did you decide who the customer was? And has that evolved from the start of the journey to where you are now? Start with you, Jito.
Thank you. As an entrepreneur, I have always backed major trends. So at Red Owl, we're backing a few major trends. Trend number one, the hyper-customization of cards. And trend number two, most importantly, the emerging AI technologies. We've all heard about AI, and we've all probably seen how AI works, but over the last 12 months, AI has come or matured or come of life. And at Red Owl, what we are solving is a problem that's existed with SMEs who use corporate cards. Now, 2.3 million SMEs in Australia are losing millions, hundreds of millions of dollars as a result of payments happening on their corporate cards that are outside of company policy, outside of budgets, or outside of approval limits. And we're able to solve this problem for our customer now with the power of AI. I'm not sure how many of you saw the launch of OpenAI 01 on Friday, where AI now is a lot more than productivity gains. There's reasoning, human reasoning being brought to machine, and we're seeing how far that could go, and that's how we are trying to solve a problem that's existed with SMEs for a very long time.
Right. Thanks, Ashima, for that warm introduction. Barcats is basically LinkedIn for hospitality. It was a platform we created about 7.5 years ago, which was all about connecting staff to venues and venues to staff, but then providing education and training. So we work and partner with companies like Diageo and Lion and Nestle, Australian Super, Paylab, around really connecting information to that network or that community. And it's a double-sided marketplace. So our customer is both the venue and also the staff member. And we really think about it as a bit of a triangle. We think about it as being, too many staff and not enough jobs, the staff leave you. Too many jobs and not enough staff, the venues leave you. So we're constantly building on both sides of that platform. And but if you really push me, the real customer for us is the staff member. That you live and die by the fact that, are we keeping that staff member happy? Are we making sure that they're getting compliant payment? Are they getting enough work? We really need to ensure that that community member is really front of mind. And we continue to evolve our programs and initiatives around that staff member.
Thanks, Ashima, for the introduction. So we've been around for a few years, and I think the question, well, as a starting point, obviously we do corporate credit cards and spend management, so helping teams issue cards, let them do their jobs and control spending within policy and integrating into accounting, rewards, all that sort of stuff, which we can talk about. But in terms of how we kind of settled on that target customer, many years ago, when we started the business, it was a consumer business. We were trying to build a very different product to what we have today. And actually, we tried to get corporate credit cards ourselves, which was a very difficult process. And the need we were trying to solve was someone had put, an expense on the bank card, and we couldn't work out who it was. It was like the classic story that everyone tells. And so initially, to answer your question, it was really ourselves as the first target customer. We're trying to solve our own problem and sort of assumed that was a more endemic problem across initially SMEs and probably the small end of SMEs. We kind of figured if it was challenging for us, it was probably because we were quite small and banks didn't want to offer corporate cards to us because of where we were, and the actual offering itself probably wasn't going to hit the mark in terms of what we were looking for anyway. So initially we were trying to solve a problem for ourselves, and as time has gone on, certainly that's evolved and probably more broadened into not just SMEs, but the medium and the larger end of the business space.
Great, thank you for that. It's great to hear how customers are actually informing the business and the decisions on the product. The next one is really bringing it down to now thinking about payments. So how's payments evolving your proposition, whether it's for customer or decisions on product? We'll probably start with you again, Jito.
Thanks, Ashima. Payments is everything in our business. Now, I'm sure most of you sitting here either has got a corporate card or has used one before. But at the end of this session, if you were to walk out of the Grand Hyatt, turn left 10 meters into the Giorgio Armani store and tap your corporate card on something you've seen yesterday and you want to purchase, as long as there's money on the card or credit on the card, it'll go through, even though it's not a work-related expense. But if you were to use a Red Owl card as how we reimagine spending, one of three things will happen as a result of your business having pre-configured your card with all of the data that's sitting inside the business. One of three things will happen. If the card recognizes that it's a work-related expense, it'll go through. If there's doubt, it'll immediately escalate it to your immediate manager for a yes or no approval, just like an OTP. Or 3, if there's sufficient evidence that is not a work-related expense, it gets declined. Now that's the power of AI, and we at Red Owl are looking at the value chain of how payments works and looking at payments not just a mundane activity for our customer, but how do we turn this into a strategic tool? Because on the back of every payment, there's a ton of insights and intelligence that gets back to the customer. So payments is everything for us.
Yeah, likewise. We started with identifying a bit of a problem. Firstly, hospitality venues are doing it tough out there, and we see that day in, day out. 38 to 43 to 44% of their P&L is tied up in staff costs. So really understanding, firstly, how do I get more efficient, more flexibility into that? At the moment, I'm rostering people 10 or 14 days out. If I can create a more casualised, flexible model where I can make a decision a couple of days out or even a day out from what do I actually require with 30% of my staff cost, so I can flex it up and flex it down accordingly. There's a real opportunity in doing that. So that's one part of the model, but the second part is then, well, how do I ensure that I can actually onboard a staff member, actually do time and attendance, and then ultimately end with a payroll or a payment directly to that staff member? And it was ridiculous that Johnny that wanted to work on Friday night would have to wait 14 or 21 days for somebody in payroll to actually administer that payment. So what we've created through the good people of EML Payments and MasterCard is an opportunity with a digital wallet that literally Johnny can get paid within 24 hours. And with an agitation, that really should be 20 minutes after he's walked out of that shift. He should be able to get his money that he's earned, not have to have it as a loan or a benefit, but actually his real money that's fully worked out with payroll tax and all the other bits and pieces into it. So that's what we've developed and launched, like I said, 6 weeks ago, it's going really well so far.
Great to hear.
Sorry, I should also just add to that. One of the things that's a real benefit of the payments piece is that what we're seeing early is that the staff member loves it so much that they're getting early payment that loyalty becomes really strong, retention to the venue, that they want to then continue to work in this environment. And certainly as we're seeing a more casualised workforce, we're seeing I think this is going to be a significant game changer for us, not just in hospitality, but in lots of different casualised industries out there.
Actually, while you're on the topic, I'll probably ask my next one first before going to Oliver. On the topic of loyalty, are you also looking to leverage the data and other capabilities that come with it to deepen your proposition?
Yeah, 100%. So, really once you've got them in the payment digital wallet, then you can really open up and look at lots of different opportunities, whether it be in loyalty, whether it be in lending, all the various different systems and so forth. And I guess that's why we're here today is we're open for business. We don't have the skill sets or core capability in the space, and that's why we've chosen to work with people like EML as our issuer, with MasterCard, and also others that can help us bring some of those skill sets or auxiliary products to the market to leverage once we've got people into our ecosystem of payments. And that's a real game changer away from the traditional model of Johnny getting paid into his Westpac bank account 14 days from now. Actually, we've got them captured within the payments model.
That's great to hear. Thank you. And Oliver, what role does payments play in your business proposition?
Well, yeah, like everyone, everyone here, payments is super critical to the offering. I think the way that we think about, our offering more generally is obviously when you want to spend on your corporate card, you're spending with MasterCard and you're spending at, a merchant that accepts that. Our real value add that we think about is, well, obviously the things that sit around that. So we're talking about like accounting integrations, points, expense management, controlling those cards, whether that's through limits or merchant restrictions or all those types of things that you want to do to both give your team the power to spend, but also not increase the risk the business is facing. But I think one important lens is like when we think about who we're elevating that experience for, it's multiple different kind of profiles within that business. As I said at the start, we started out serving very small businesses, and that was kind of what we thought was the core proposition, and we started to see appetite from bigger and bigger businesses. And the types of complementary features they want to see around that payments experience changes dramatically depending on the profile of the business that you're serving. If you're talking about a very small business, then things like points become very, very important. They're running their business like a family, and that's kind of how they think about that. They should be getting some benefit from that. When you move into kind of mid-market, we start to see accounting integrations become much more important, controls, and then when you move into the larger end, obviously, it's much, much more around controls, restrictions, easily issuing cards to large teams, managing large teams quickly. So when we think about the role that payments plays, it's obviously the backbone of all of that. But what you need to add to that as a complementary experience, I think, changes pretty dramatically depending on, we talk about the customer, but like specifically what customer, and what is the profile of that business that's going to be using our product. They want very, very different things from their corporate card program.
Great to hear. Thank you. I'm going to go a little bit off plan because Jeff made me think of another question.
We rehearsed.
No, you made me think of a question that we get commonly. So me and my team, we work with a lot of fintech partners, helping them launch new card propositions, build new CVPs. And one question we always get asked is different paths to market. Which path should we take? Should we go through a partner? Should we work directly with MasterCard? Should we work with someone else in market that's already doing this? And Jeff mentioned EML Payments earlier, who's one of the MasterCard partners that helps bring different fintechs and partners to market quickly. And we've got other partners in that space as well. So I'd like to ask Jeff as to why they went that path rather than going directly with MasterCard or a different path. And Oliver and Archa, they've chosen to go ahead and have a direct relationship with MasterCard, which obviously is a longer path to take. It takes longer to get to market, and it's a harder path to take. And I'm curious to find out why Jeff Barkatz chose, the partner method, and why Archa went direct.
Yeah, it's a really good question. That ultimately, and Alex within your team has worked side by side with us, blood, sweat and tears over the last probably 18 months, and we investigated lots of different partnerships, whether they be the traditional banking sectors, and I think what it came down to is, as a startup, we move really quickly, and most corporates just have no ability to work as quickly as what we intended. And EML was really, really up for that same challenge. They already had unbelievable expertise in the market, and it felt like it was just a very strong partnership versus they were able to bolt on to what they had. The other realization is we looked at doing lots of things ourselves, but ultimately what it comes down to is stick to your knitting, bring in the experts and make sure that your experts are the experts for a reason, and be great at doing that. And I think one of the things that we've really found within this new launch, but even over the last 7 or so years, is it's the ability to move from strategy to execution and being unbelievably focused on the execution that really will make it a success. And I think that's where, rather than working too much on the back office and more strategy, actually getting out there and ensuring that we've got enough customer base and working that triangle basically is really important for us.
Great to hear. I'm hearing expertise and speed to market as a key decision maker. And how about you, Oliver, for Archa?
Yeah, it's a very good question, and it's something we laboured over when we were starting to build corporate credit cards. I think the ultimate driver for us was we kind of had this primary input into the model, which was we wanted to have a true corporate credit card in the sense of a line of credit. We would we'd run a balance sheet, we'd own a receivables book from these customers, and they would owe us money, and they'd pay that down. That was kind of point number one, and that was an important differentiator for us in market, and I think that's still important for us today. At the time, and I think potentially still today, there's not an indirect path to market to do corporate credit card issuance in the country, outside of the banks, obviously. And similar to Jeff's comments, like we really wanted to move quickly, and we had a view that by doing this ourselves and having a direct relationship with MasterCard, we would be able to get to market quickly, perhaps not as quickly as going through EML or something like that, but and that proved to be true. We did get to market very quickly, and importantly, the other two kind of outputs of that decision, which were big factors when making it, were this gives us very good control over our roadmap and a really good understanding of what we can and can't build, and access to all of, say, MasterCard's offerings, the digital-first offerings, and able to kind of get access to those directly. And also allows us to kind of choose our own destiny in terms of where this product sits in market, who do we serve, how is this product structured, obviously working closely with MasterCard, but other than that, we have very strong economics off the back of that relationship as well, which is, of course, is important. Points are important to our customers. It's important that you have that margin and you're able to offer, if you're going to offer a true corporate credit card offering, you need to have the economics under that to underpin it. And we saw the relationship with MasterCard as a principal issuer as the most obvious path to achieve that, and I think that proved to be true.
Great to hear. Controlling your destiny. and the roadmap. Thanks for sharing that. In addition to that, we also have another path to market for fintechs that we launched at Intersekt last year, in fact, on one of the panels. So we have a prepaid incubator programs for fintechs that are looking to dip their feet into the payment space, understand if this card program is relevant for them or not, and do a product market fit test. So we have a program that helps fintechs launch up to 1,000 cards in market in production, including in digital and physical formats. And it's a really good way to showcase to your investors or customers that this card exists and this proposition works. And that program is supported by Change Financial and FinTech Actuator, who are actually sitting in the front in the room, so feel free to have a chat with them. We'll move on to the next one. So Jito, this one's for you. You recently got selected as one of the 8 global fintechs, high potential fintechs, into the MasterCard Start Path program. First, tell us, why did you even apply for it? And how is it going? And what is it?
Thanks, Ashima. My co-founder Tushan and I, we were happily working away on our AI engine and quite excited by what we were seeing within the context of corporate card spend. And about 3 months ago, we got a call from one of Ashima's team members to say, have you considered applying for MasterCard Start Path program? We had no idea, absolutely no idea. We checked it up, we looked at the program, and we found that the first winner of the program as an Aussie startup was Airwallex. And that was enough for us to get excited to quickly apply for the program. And here we are, having made through the various stages of selection to make it to the final list. But being on the Start Path program, Ashima, has been a game changer for us on multiple aspects. First, as a company as an early stage startup that's in the process of working on our launch of our proposition, now we have a global partner who is very much plugged into the entire ecosystem working alongside us. And we have the MasterCard team here in Australia sharpening the value prop, giving us insights into our go-to-market strategy, and pretty much walking every step of the way towards the launch. But the Start Path program is a lot more than that. We also have access to the global experts from Singapore for the regional office and New York, product experts, market experts, country experts, who are looking at what we have got to see. How do we scale this? How does this apply in a different market? So it's super exciting. It just pretty much accelerated our journey, and we're very excited and very thankful for having been part of the MasterCard program. And I'm sure there are lots of startups here, and my only recommendation is whichever stage of evolution you are in, pre-launch or post, I ask you to look up the Start Path program and apply, because where that could take you, not just fine-tuning what you're doing today, but to take you on a global stage and put you on the path to a unicorn like Airwallex, that option is now available. So we're excited.
Great to hear, and you're making the most of it. Jito actually flew to Singapore. They found out about the application process 24 hours before it closed, and the team rushed and made the application, and Jito flew to Singapore to actually pitch Red Owl, and I think that's obviously helped. Oliver, I hear Acha was also on Start Path many, many years ago, or a previous iteration of it.
Yeah, I think when we were applying for our principal membership with MasterCard, we were sort of involved in before it was a formalized program, or what it is today, we were able to kind of leverage effectively a lot of the same, I guess, accelerations that are made available to members of that to get to market quickly, get through the licensing process, understand where you are. And I think certainly on the licensing side of things and the way that we're able to accelerate that process and get to market quickly, we definitely took a huge benefit out of that.
Great to hear. And then just staying with you now, so 6 years on, obviously you've got an award-winning proposition that's quite well recognized in the SME space. How are you leveraging collaborations and partnerships to identify new revenue streams or new product verticals?
Well, I think first and foremost, we just need to be very clear about what our business is, and our core business is issuing corporate credit cards and charging customers to use them and for the credit they use, all that kind of stuff. But as part of any kind of solid corporate credit card proposition, there are customers asking for a range of residual benefits. So I think that's where we kind of lean into partnerships quite a lot. So I mean, we've partnered with businesses like Velocity for airline points, AIG for insurance through MasterCard as well. And a range of other businesses really designed to kind of, when customers are talking to us and saying, well, do you do travel insurance? Can I earn airline points? How do I get status from the program? That's something where obviously we're not going to be able to build those things ourselves. And if we were to build them ourselves, it takes a very long time to build out, what is effectively a network business, being able to kind of, certainly on points, being able to offer a compelling proposition there. So we looked at things like cashback and other options that we could put in market on rewards. But for us, it was like, well, we can really leverage an existing brand, we can leverage an existing channel and an existing customer membership base. And so for us, when we think about partnerships, it's really about, it's not something that's core to our business. It's something that we think is really important, but we want it done well, and done well by someone, to Jeff's points earlier. We want to make sure the experts are running those types of programs, and so where it's not our expertise and it's not something we want to learn, then we would look to partnerships and build really strong partnerships where we can benefit our customers.
Great to hear. Move to the last question. I'll probably go to you first, Jeff. How do you continue to keep customer at the center? How does it inform everything?
I think, it's one of the things that Mum and Dad taught you really early on, and McDonald's probably after that, is listen. More 2 ears, 1 mouth, and lots of listening to what the customer is doing and evolving. It's really interesting. Johnny, who worked on Friday, talking about extra services, cost of living and those pressures are every day for that person. And the casual workforce just in hospitality is worth $11 billion in Australia. So it's a big market for us to go after, but it's then the ancillary products after that, which is, hey, Johnny can't get credit because he's 22, he's a uni student, he's the usual casual person that actually has popped his tyre, or he's got needs an extra $300 or $400. How does he access that? Well, we're going to have a whole heap of data and an opportunity to understand what he's done over the last 12 weeks and how he's worked. So there's going to be lots of different products like those sort of lending opportunities or loyalty campaigns and all those sorts of things that I think we're going to continue to evolve. And then once we've got to that point, it's then thinking about other industries that we can continue to work within. But it is, first and foremost, listening, and we're 6 weeks in, so we're doing lots of listening.
Sounds good. And Gito, how are you, at the early stage, how are you keeping customer at the center? How are you doing testing or validation?
So in terms of, as our product still hasn't got out there, so we are working with customers in terms of how AI impacts their problem. And we are seeing, for the first time, we're able to use a lot of the data that exists within our customer, their internal, external data, and make sense of that, which is the power of AI. And I therefore urge every one of you here, whichever business you're in, as Sundar Pichai, the Google CEO, said, look at AI as a new platform, just like how we had cloud computing 10 years ago. You can do a lot more for less with AI. So, and AI is still, we're not there. We're just at the beginning of the evolution. So look at your proposition that you currently have, and then re-look to see how you could solve it by accessing the power of AI to tap into the data that's already exists. So we are continuously looking and discovering new problems and new friction points within the spend and payment space.
Great to hear. And Oliver, your customers obviously evolved from where you started to new opportunities that are coming about with the larger sort of customers. How do you manage that, and what sort of challenges do you face?
I think just as a matter of practicality, when we started out, because we're focusing on smaller businesses and it was much more of a volume-based business, you do a lot of digital growth and a lot of self-serve customers. So they come through, they apply, they're approved, they don't really talk to you because you don't need to, and that's a good outcome for everyone. But then as we kind of grew the base of target customers for us, we started dealing with more kind of medium-sized enterprises and large businesses. And that sales motion becomes a sales, it's a true sales motion. It's outbound sales, direct growth. And I guess the comparison between the two in the context of keeping a customer front of mind is that I think it's much harder to do when you're doing kind of direct, when you're doing digital growth, self-serve customers, because you don't talk to the customers, aside from the obvious things you would be doing around surveys and reaching out and customer interviews, which I'm sure is just hygiene for everyone who's doing that sort of thing. But in terms of day-to-day direct interactions, the fact we've moved to kind of more of a direct outbound sales-driven model, which is working very well in that medium and large end of businesses. Your sales guys are in front of customers every day. That's their job. They're incentivized to close deals. And so they're coming back with direct feedback and incentivized to tell the product team and tell the engineers, this is what customers are asking for. They want to close the deal. The customer wants to solve this problem, and everyone's kind of running in the same direction. And I found, sales-driven growth, as far as how that complements keeping customers front of mind and complementing your roadmap has been a much easier job than doing digital growth and kind of that self-serve model. And not that one is better than the other. I think one just requires a lot more effort to make sure the customer stays front of mind. So we found that, yeah, direct sales-driven growth, and also me, like obviously a lot of my job is sales and getting in front of customers and selling the product to them. And so then I'm coming away from those meetings when I haven't won a deal, very disappointing, but you understand very clearly why, and you understand what the customer wanted that you can't do. And so then that is a direct input into your roadmap and into prioritizing what's going to be done next.
That's key, thank you. So I think it's key what we've heard today, that is finding the right balance between competitive time to market, speed to market, versus ensuring the right customer fit is quite key, and keeping customer at the center is key. So that's been great to hear. In addition, just touching on the Start Path program that Gito and Oliver referred to. So it's a global program. We have 5 streams on the Start Path program. One is for fintech solving problems with emerging technology. Second one is fintech solving problems in the small to medium enterprise space. The third one is on open banking. Fourth one is on blockchain. And fifth one is on payment acceptance. We do intakes twice a year for each of these streams, and currently there are intakes applications open for payment acceptance and open banking. So if you guys are interested, I would encourage you to have a look at that. In terms of questions, if you have any questions and you'd like to find out more about what we spoke about on the panel, or meet the panelists, or have any questions for MasterCard, please come see us at the MasterCard booth. We'd be happy to take any of your questions. And please join me in thanking our panelists for the amazing insights they've shared.
Thank you.
Thank you to Ashima for an amazing job, to Jutta, to Jeffrey and Oliver. I kind of have visions, Jutta, of going through a McDonald's drive-through and the AI telling me whether I can expense it back to the business or not.